What is going on? You are watching and, of course, listening to Tags Live, aka Talk About Gay Sex, the live edition, where we are here every Wednesday night breaking down the topics of hot sexuality. I am your host, Steve V. This is episode 539, alongside partner in crime, couldn't do it without him, Kodi Maurice Doggette. How the hell you doing, Kodi?
Hello, darling. I'm doing wonderful. So lovely to see your beautiful face this evening.
Hello, Mr. Australia.
How are you? How are you
I'm
tonight?
doing good here. Yeah, no complaints. We are very excited. A little bit later in this show, we will be bringing up as our very special guest Will Tantra to the show, and we have so many things to. He's a repeat guest with us. Back in 2021 is when he came on the first time, and we were talking about multiple orgasms. We'll tap into that, but we've got so many things to tap into him, and you don't want to miss this episode. Will Tantra, special guest coming up a little bit later. But Kodi, let's get into some hot topics first and foremost. And
Ready?
there is a new docu-series produced by ABC News, but also you can watch it, I think, on Hulu now. And it's actually about leg lengthening, if you can believe it. People actually want to, and I didn't even know this was a thing. There's a whole documentary on it about lengthening your legs, about 10 centimeters, if you will. I mean, it goes along with boob jobs, even penis enlargement surgery, but this one really seems crazy to me that people would want to lengthen their bones. And I watched a little clip of it where they break the bone in the certain part of your leg and they put a rod in there, and of course you can imagine you have to heal around it, but you're only going to get about 10 centimeters out of it, and it really is, of course, risky, like all of these procedures can be. Mostly heterosexual men are wanting to do this because I feel like in our community, at least if I'm talking about the gay community, I don't know
hmm
that we really care. I feel like when I'm talking to my sister, she definitely wants somebody taller than her, and that's usually the prototype of a heterosexual woman.
hmm
And maybe that's why so many heterosexual men want to be taller. But do you feel like it's as prominent in our community? Like, do we care as much? I mean, I don't want, a giant and me to be like super teeny either, because that could be odd. I think it would be self-conscious. But do you care about height?
Well, first, let me just say, if anything, I just want RuPaul's legs because those things are magical. She's been using them too long. I think she just gift them to me because, she's had them for how many years now. So I think that, that's
Nice pair of
if
legs,
I,
yeah.
right? If I was going to get a new pair of legs, I would choose RuPaul's. Now, on to your point, I do think that we as gay men, we don't really put a lot of stock into height. I think it's because we have all had to overcome so many masculinity issues over the years as far as coming out and doing the type of things that we have to do as gay men in order to be comfortable in our sexuality, that height is just something that we don't even give credence to because, we got to deal with toxic masculinity and all that kind of stuff. So I think that I see your point as far as gay men not wanting to have this surgery. I personally could never have this surgery for multiple reasons because I'm afraid of complications. Did they say what the complications were as far as this is concerned?
Nerve damage is one potential one for
Well,
sure, because you're starting to mess with all the workings of your legs, and that can't be good. None of these procedures, penis enlargement, of course, you're dealing with major nerves in that area as well. And it's like, I don't want to mess with any of these things. And I just feel
yeah.
like, has there ever been any part of your body that you would consider changing, or have you just made peace with who you are today?
Oh no, there's a couple things that I would do if I
I
had
mean, we
like,
all have them, right? We all have
oh
things that we
yeah.
kind of wish this, that, of course.
Yeah, everybody has their insecurities. I personally would do my hairline because she's thinning a little bit up there. So I would like to have a full lush head of hair down to my back, please and thank you. I could have that for $10.99 at the wig store, but I want it to grow out of my head. But what would you do?
Of course, I can do squats till kingdom come and my butt
Mhm,
gets bigger, which has always been a nice thing. But like my
mhm.
actual legs, and I'm lifting like heavy, heavy, killing myself. And I still do today. I was doing legs. They get nice and muscular, but they definitely don't get like those nice tree trunk legs that you see in a lot of guys. And they never will be that big. I know how to like dress myself now. So for me, I once heard of all I'm gonna date myself, Heather Locklear had, like, the same issue, and so did Brad Pitt in when
Oh,
he was
really?
doing he said too, his butt would get big, 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 and there's tricks that you can do. So, like, for me, if I'm gonna wear a swimsuit I look good naked, but if I'm gonna wear a swimsuit, a Speedo that's a little bit higher cut works for me because my upper leg has a little bit more fullness to it. It's the
Okay.
lower part. So I'm not really good in those square cut shorts that they sell for not board shorts because I look good in really long board shorts, but those kind of square cut to me don't make flatter my legs. So I've learned to kind of tricks of the trade illusion wise. So if I go higher, it makes my leg look bigger. If I go all the way down, it looks skatery and that works too, but not that mid length thing. So yes, of
Okay.
course, if I could, and I'm working my legs like nonstop, but I don't have that in my genes to get them ever bigger. They never will. And they're, and I'm not going to inject fat or anything like that into them. So, but I've just come to
I would go
terms.
with you. If you ever wanted to go.
Doug says, who's watching us live right now, I'm 6'3" and a half, so I don't need it, but I do love short king, so I don't think the surgery is necessary. Speaking of
Yeah.
legs, I had a cast put on my right leg yesterday.
Oh,
Oh,
Doug, we hope you
oh, and
feel
I
better
feel for you
soon.
too because I broke my ankle a couple of years ago, and it was about this time of year. Remember, Cody, we were doing the
Oh, yeah.
show, and I just remember this couch here was kind of where I was for 6 months, and it was not fun. But hang in there, hang in there. We're here for you. We
Yeah.
will entertain you. So yeah, exactly. Crazy stuff, but we've got to move on. And we want to shout out to one of the actors that we really love, Luke Evans, and his partner Frann Tomas, who they're so adorable together. And I'm a really big fan of Luke Evans. By the way, did you see the movie with him and my gosh,
Billy
it's
Porter.
Billy Porter? Did you see that current movie?
I have.
It's kind of like Kramer versus Kramer,
Mhm.
modern day, but a gay couple that they're going through a divorce, but they're dealing with custody, and it's really intense, really good. Both of them are excellent in it. But back to Luke, he has just made a major announcement. I didn't know he had such a flair for fashion, and his clothing line with his partner is going to be called BDXY. And both Fran and him have been wanting to do this for a while. And what's really cool, I think, is that it's going to be swimwear, t-shirts, and they're going to kind of start small. But I am already following them on Instagram, and I love seeing Luke go this route. They looked at old Hollywood for some kind of inspiration, if you will. And where they landed on was 60s, 70s, think classic styles like Steve McQueen or Marlon Brando. I feel like the show already is like old school. Like I've made one too many old school references, and I'm going to stop right now. But hey, it's
No, don't
Luke's,
do it.
it's old Hollywood classic is where they're going. I'm here for it. And I think it's really cool that we're in our community now where we're seeing musicians in the LGBTQ world. We're seeing actors like Billy Porter, like Luke Evans on the big and small screen. And now the fashion world. It makes sense to me. Are you here for this new brand or BDXY?
Oh, definitely. I'm a Speedo aficionado, and these are really cute. I love a great swimwear, anything really. I like short shorts personally. So the short shorts that they have here, I cannot wait to have a pair. So Luke, if you're listening, please send us Tags podcast, the entire all of the co-hosts who need a pair, just so we can try them out. We can do a collaboration. So just send us some and I'll wear them. I'll model them for real.
You would be a great model for him because BDXY is inspired by the words bold and sexy, which
Oh,
summarize you in many ways, I believe.
you
Um,
too.
Thank you. And like I said, it's inspired by old Hollywood, and you can follow them right now. I did today, and you can also BDXY Studio and follow them on Instagram. And then you can also sign up for their newsletter because they're going to start unveiling some of the new fashion. So I'm here for it. I think good for them. Okay, moving. We definitely, this is a great news piece. PrEP without a prescription will now be a reality in California. And Governor Newsom signed it into a bill yesterday, greatly increasing access to the prevention of HIV medication. And it's going to be, this is like a pioneering move, I think, because it's really going to get PrEP into those who really need it. And I'm talking a lot about Black and Brown communities that often don't get PrEP, or insurance doesn't cover it, or maybe a lot of people don't have insurance, particularly young people. So this, in a statement, every individual who chooses to receive this life-saving medication from their community pharmacy should be able to do so. I would also like to extend our gratitude to the governor for this important access and how it points and how it's truly is appreciated. So, and Kodi, what do you think about this? Because at this point, we're talking a lot about STIs that people are getting, but
Mhm.
we still need to combat HIV. And PrEP at this point should really be available to all, not just a certain select community.
That's right. I think this is amazing. And I'm glad California is at the forefront of this, but I am not surprised that this law is in effect in California. If this were Texas, I would have fallen out my seat. I would be looking for pigs in the sky. But matter of fact, the entire don't make me laugh. I already have this
Okay,
song
sorry,
from the
yeah.
last segment in my
Okay,
head.
right.
But I also wonder if the messaging for PrEP and things like DoxyPep are going to these Black and Brown communities, because I think that a lot of the only reason that I could see that more Black and Brown people are not taking PrEP and DoxyPep is that they don't necessarily know what it involves, what it protects them from, and I feel like that this needs to be in tandem with the messaging to those communities. So, yeah, what do you think, Steve?
I agree with you. Messaging, we've been talking a lot about that with STI checking and how that could actually be, you could get tests in bars and clubs. The apps should be using a lot of this. And I think some of them really are taking advantage of a lot of this, which is really good. And in terms of, you mentioned DoxyPep, I went to see Dr. Goldstein, who's been on our show several times. He's a proctologist.
Hmm.
And, I'm going to be going on an upcoming cruise and probably having a lot of fun, maybe for my
Get
new
it?
OnlyFans as well. And one of the things he said, have you heard about DoxyPep? And he prescribed it for me. And it's a medication that you can take. It's an antibiotic, but it can also help prevent, if you know you're going to be sexually active and not using condoms in a period of time, it could be a good consideration for you. A consideration. And
Yes.
I definitely talked with my doctor, Dr. Goldstein, and we made the recommendation to prescribe it to me. But everybody needs to either know the information first, like you mentioned, and
Hmm.
then be comfortable enough to have these conversations with your practitioner, because if you don't even know it's out there, then you don't know to even ask these things. And it can prevent a lot of turmoil and things coming down the pipeline. And I just think it's an important thing. So yeah.
Definitely.
What does
Bryce
Bryce
says,
think? Yeah.
yeah, Bryce says it was difficult to get PrEP in West Texas. The pharmacy tried to charge him
Uh,
$6,000. Can you imagine?
no, I
But yeah,
remember. Yeah, I
I just have
remember.
$6,000 in my pocket. I don't understand.
It's
Go ahead. What were you gonna
crazy.
say? Yeah.
Just I remember when I didn't have as good of insurance as I do now, the going price is crazy like that. And who has
Yeah.
that kind of money for this? You're like, I guess I won't have sex. I mean, yeah, that not an option.
I was
Okay.
gonna say, wait a minute. Did we just say that on this show? Because
It's time to bring up our special guest. Cody, if you will do us the honor, that
yes,
would be really
darling.
great. Hello, hello, hello. Today we are welcoming our special guest who's a recurring guest, and it's Will Tantra. Will, how you doing?
Hi, boys. How y'all doing today?
Hi,
Good.
Daddy. How are
Good.
you?
Daddy's doing just fine. Thank you, handsome.
Nice, nice. Well, like I said, you've been on the show before, and you have tantricfitness.com, and people can follow you at Tantric Fitness on all social media platforms. And you have OnlyFans. But I think what you really do, and you correct me if I'm wrong, is you almost give lessons on how to get deeper into our sexuality. So when you follow things like your OnlyFans or your Twitter account, it's not just another just for fans or only fans. You actually invite people in to get to know their sexuality, go a little bit deeper. To explain a little bit about your approach, again, if you will.
Sure. Yeah, I like to teach through explicit content. So through my films, it's not just entertaining and something to jack off to, but you're going to learn something as well. Anything from 10 unique cock strokes to how to clean your hole, how to give a prostate massage, how to stretch your hole. I do content with trans men, so I do pussy pleasing tutorials, and even going into some basics as how to discuss boundaries and consent before kink play, and then it would lead into the sex session. So whether the lesson is very explicit and in a tutorial form, that works, but it's also sometimes woven into the scene, like a scene about eye contact or how to give a blowjob. It might just be woven in.
Well, and
Oh,
just like sexuality, which is ever growing, we're always learning about it. I feel from even from the last time we talked about you, which you've always been a teacher in this kind of sexuality, you seem to continue to grow and expand, and with trans men and with various aspects. Is that part of your thought processes to always want to be learning yourself so that you can disseminate even more deeper sexuality to the people that you are, students, if you will?
Well, it is because my own sexuality is evolving just like everybody's. My preferences have evolved and changed as I've gotten older. And I realized in the last couple of years that, around when I was 18, 19 years old and I was becoming attracted to men, I put myself into this gay box. Like, I just want cock and ass for the rest of my life. But at the same time, I would watch straight porn and I would watch trans porn. And then I realized I'm not 100% gay.
Yeah.
I, and having sex with a trans man is gay sex, but I also have sex with women now.
oh wow.
So
Nice. That's
yeah,
great.
because of my interest in trans men, and I have trans men fuck buddies, friends, and my love for pussy, that has opened my eyes to women as well, cis women as well. So yeah, I basically teach and express through my content really what I'm into. So
Oh
it's
wow.
Wow.
kind of a natural thing. And at the same time, teaching things that I think we should have been taught in high school for sure, you know.
Oh yeah.
Real quick, Cody, I know you got a question chomping at the bit, but I
Go
just
ahead.
want to ask, have you changed the way you identify now? Because if you identified before as a gay man, have you gotten rid of labels?
I really don't like labels because I see how it held me back. I had
Yeah.
a lot of fantasies and interests, and in my mind, I was like, no, but you're gay. No, but you're gay. And so I put things aside because I had lived under this label. And so, no, I don't like labels. I have no idea what I'm going to be into next year or the year after. And I like human being.
I hear
Love
that.
it.
I hear that. Well, I mean, I kind of want to stay on the topic now. I did have another question, but I kind of want to know what caused you or what was the impetus for you to kind of break free from the chains or the restraints of calling yourself a gay man? How did that come to fruition? How did that come to light?
It wasn't an overnight thing. It was just the general acknowledgement of like, I love having sex with humans
Hmm.
and their genitalia. I love all kinds of genitalia. So it just matters if I connect with the person.
Okay.
So
Love that.
and through that I realized, well, um, what does that make me? Maybe pansexual. How about that?
Yeah. I mean, we don't. If you don't want a label, we're not going to use the label on you. I don't need it. Well, my other question is, how has Tantra, because you use Tantra in your work as well, correct?
Yes.
How has that deepened your sexual experience as far as you experimenting and teaching others?
Well, Tantra is kind of a broad topic, but
Hmm.
what I teach is how Tantra relates to sex.
Hmm.
And one of the things that helps people understand the way in which I teach is to talk about how we are animals and we're born on this planet that is literally a playground. And we're born with these incredible senses to explore this planet with, our sight, our taste, our smell, our touch, our hearing. And we have all these people to play with our senses. And so sexually, I really try to myself incorporate all my senses as well as teach my partners and my clients and viewers to as well. Because our senses are all wired to help us breed. And by helping us breed, that means turn us on, get us more excited, be more in the moment, be more engaged. So, for example, if I'm using my sense of sight for my breeding, then I'm watching my partner. How are they presenting their whole for me? How are they moving their body? How receptive are they behaving and horny? If I'm using my nose, then I might be sniffing around their crotch or their armpits. And these things are exciting my cock. They're exciting my orgasmic core and helping me to, connect and bond and get that load out.
That's so interesting
Love that.
because you mentioned the scent, and I was watching one of your videos, and you said instead of using poppers, which is chemicals,
Hmm.
and for a lot of us, I know Cody's not a big popper fan anymore, and I'm kind of on the
Yeah.
fence these days. Sometimes I get a headache, and
Hmm.
it's not always the greatest. And you were saying instead of that, use huffing. I think you used the term, which was almost inhaling the armpit or somebody else's armpit. And
Yeah.
I've done that almost with feet too, because that aroma that you can get out of, I mean, believe me, not everyone likes that. I happen to like that, but I've made my partner really, who didn't even think they weren't thinking about the feet. It made us connected more, and we had a more prolonged sexual encounter by me inhaling that, and it wasn't a chemical bottle that we were using. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's still chemicals. It's pheromones.
There you go,
Mm.
right.
And it's in our DNA to get excited by certain pheromones. And that excitement is helping us again and breed. And which means connect and bond, make love, move your bodies together. Yeah, armpits, crotches, feet, jock straps, all of that. I love the smell of man's balls, his butt, all of it. And that's another sense, the sense of hearing as well. When your partner is making noises, oohs and ahs and moans and groans and growls, that's called copulatory vocalization. And that again excites that part of us that wants to connect and breathe. So to answer your question, Kodi, is bringing Tantra into my sex life, both personal and professional, really means embodying my senses and acknowledging that first and foremost, I'm an animal. And the more animalistic and primal and in the moment and in my body I can be, then the better sexual connection I'm going to have.
Love that.
Yeah, and would you say that a lot of us, I've been guilty of this too, over the years, the way that our community is set up with the apps, that we've tried to speed up the sexual process, like hook up with somebody, wham bam, really quickly. And you're talking about things like getting to know your partner through eye contact, through the senses. And would you say that in some ways, the way our culture's set up, we've kind of dumbed it down, but you're trying to offer us to really take it the other direction, like connect and use our sentence. And it could only help couples out, I think, that are maybe in a lull.
Absolutely. And you know what you're saying, some people might be like, "Oh, that seems like it might take a long time." I
It is
really want to
supposed
know.
to.
I just wanted to
How long is this going to
blow.
take? Yeah.
I've
I gotta go take the dog
talk to him. But it doesn't take that long. It's not that difficult. But the result is immediate, and the result is such a heightened connection, so much more trust, so much more satisfaction, and a feeling afterwards of like, that was time well spent. I'm really proud of that connection. I'm really proud of who I was with that person. I really left that person better off than when he came over here. Like that was
I
a
love
really
that.
great human moment that we shared, even if you never see him again. And
I
it
love that.
honestly does not take that much. It just takes like the intention of like, I'm going to be present with this person. I'm going to really respect them. I'm going to find out what his preferences, what their preferences. I'm getting used to, genderless pronouns here. Yeah. So what their preferences are, and let them know about mine too. So we're on the same page about how we want to be pleased. And, a real simple boundaries and consent conversation can just include, what are your pronouns? And what do you like to be called in bed? What are your turn on words? What are words you want me to avoid? Because that can change everything. If you're getting fucked and someone's like, oh yeah, let me fuck your pussy. And that you're like, that's not it. That could just shut you down, or the other person. And then you might not say something. And then it's, so anyway, get the pronouns, get the names out of the way for sure. Talk about the parts of your body that you'd like to have touched and pleased. Maybe there's some areas you don't like to have touched and pleased.
Yes.
Not everybody's nipples are wired. And if you go after them, it's going to irritate them. Find out stuff like that.
It sounds like you're answering our virtual question by Doug, who says, if someone was interested in exploring Tantra, where would you start? And you kind of basically just said, have that conversation, even if it is just a hookup, even the simplest things like pronouns or what do you want to be called or are your nipples sensitive are good ways to kind of start, I guess, like you're saying.
Right. Yeah. That's right. And the sexual, the sexual preferences that you're wanting to explore together, your STI status is a wonderful thing to talk about. Lubricant's a wonderful thing to talk about. Your partner, either genders. So, and it doesn't take that long. I usually sit down with somebody when they come over. Of course, I know you guys have talked about this before about creating your space for a hookup and stuff. Nice space created. I sit them down, look them in the eye, give them some water. Tell them I'm really glad you're here. I'm really looking forward to this, and then talk about how we can please each other. It only takes like 5 minutes, but the trust and openness and
intimacy. That's what comes to my mind.
Yeah. Thank you. You both instantly feel like you're being held, and this is like a real person here. And I'm not just a cock in a hole to him or to them.
Right.
I'm a human.
Yeah.
And
that's
all
so
of
beautiful.
me is here. Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, wow.
That makes, it sounds so simple, but it makes so much sense. Take that time. I know we all want to run to the bedroom, but it'll be there. We'll get there. And this one, like you said, it's not, we're not doing a whole interview here, but it will take just a few, but it will change the energy a little bit that we're both here, right, Kodi?
Oh, definitely. Whenever I have gone to a hookup and we haven't had that time to bond and connect, I feel like it's rushed. I feel out of sorts. It's could be a lot harder for me to get an erection. So I think that all of these things play into the sexual experience because sex is not just with your genitalia, it's with your mind as well. So all this is making
Mhm.
perfect sense to me. But and
Nice.
also, it sounds like a lot of the foreplay things and things of like getting to know one another that can be beneficial to people who aren't interested in, cocks and holes and doing anal or things of that nature. So, what would you say to the side community about tantra and things of that nature?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, again, these pre-play discussions can be really enlightening. They don't take that long. I usually include them at the top of my videos just so people can see how I'm negotiating preferences with my partners and stuff. And to your point, a lot of times during that discussion, it might come up like, "Oh, hey, we had talked about that we might fuck, but today I'm feeling more like a side,"
Mm.
or the person who's coming over is specifically a baiter, a masturbator, or they just love to suck cock and they identify it as a side. And for those who are unfamiliar with what a side is, it is a preference that is just as valid as a top or a bottom. And it just means that you don't want to fuck that day. And you might be a side for that day, or you might be a side for your lifetime. But it means more non-penetrative sex, although it can include oral. It does mean you're not going to be fucking with that person. It can also include things that are less flu involved, like frottage. You're just rubbing your bodies together, mutual masturbation, massage, cuddling, making out. That sounds like a wonderful date to me at times.
I just got excited. I'm
It's so
sorry. I
it's
don't know
so
if you saw my
kinky in
face.
so many ways. It's not any
Yeah,
less kinky than in any others and can be actually very fulfilling. So, definitely.
exactly. Well, and I love that you just said kinky, because if somebody's getting flogged or tied up or spanking, that's side sex right there. Nobody's
Yeah,
getting
Right.
right.
I'm
And
down.
for a lot of people, that is their personal preference. That's what turns them on. For others, it's they want to be more safe. They're not looking for penetration or even oral. They're looking to jack off and hug and cuddle, or it doesn't really matter what the impetus is for them to say they're a side. It's a preference that shouldn't be shamed or questioned. That's one of the things I love about it is, previous to having that option on Grindr, if you were feeling like a side, you almost felt like it was an excuse, like you had to make up an
Right.
excuse for it, or you're less than, like, "I'm sorry, but I don't like to fuck. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to top you." Instead of, "I'm a side. Let's not argue here."
I love it. Well, the word daddy has been thrown around more recently. I feel like it's come into its own, and I recently turned 53 and I'm feeling my daddy mode right now more than ever, with drawing a lot of younger people. But we were talking offline a few minutes ago before you got on, and you said there's even guys in their 20s that are starting to identify as daddy. For those, do you see a change in what daddy used to represent back in the 80s and 90s as opposed to now? And if you really want to embrace your daddiness, and I know you do some training, how do you go about doing that?
Okay. Well, first of all, Steve, you and I go way back,
We
because
do.
we knew each other in college. I'm 57 now, so I was ahead of Steve. We were both on the gymnastics team together in
Oh,
college.
wow.
At UC Berkeley, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah,
know that.
Steve was an excellent gymnast.
Oh my God.
And
As
it's
was
just,
Will, my goodness.
thank you. But it's just so crazy to think back of you at like 18, 19, and like now you're talking about being a daddy.
No, I know, exactly. It is when you really put it that way, absolutely. And
Yeah.
Will used to, I think I told this last time, and then I want to hear what you have to say. Will, when he wasn't training, he would run around in the shortest shorts. It was like the early 90s,
I
silky
like to see that.
shorts, and his shirt off, and his chest was glistening. And my best friend, who I'm still friends with, Francisco, shout out to Francisco Ramirez, would say, "Oh my God, did you see Will running around campus with his shirt off, glistening?" And we would be like, "Oh, hot and bothered." So yes,
Yeah, I had those 80s little runner shorts that, well,
exactly.
kind of wish I had them now. So
Me too.
yeah, about the daddy thing, it has changed quite a bit. You know, when you and I were in our 20s, there weren't daddies. You were
Right.
either old or young. And over 30 was starting to get old. I remember clearly because I was a go-go dancer, and that was kind of the cutoff.
The cutoff,
And
right? Yeah,
I
27,
What?
28.
30, yeah, like
Yes.
28, 29, it's like, okay, honey, go get a real job.
It was 30. No, it was like, heaven forbid you were 30 and a go-go dancer back in there. You would be
What?
like side eye for sure.
Yes, yes.
Oh wow.
I clearly remember dancing at a party once, and of course there was no computer back then, so you'd read about things in the rags.
Bay
and
Area Reporter, yeah.
Yeah, and somebody at the party, the party critic wrote that one of the dancers was a little bit long in the tooth.
No
And
way.
I was not even 30. I was 29, and I
Oh
was
my
like,
God.
I think I was the oldest. I think he was talking about me. I was definitely the oldest one there. So yes, it's changed quite a bit, and I remember several clear conversations, you know, drunk with friends and just talking about, if you ever see me in the bar after I've turned 50, just fucking shoot me.
Shoot me, right? Yes.
Right? And even when you would see
Oh my
somebody in
God.
their 40s in the bar, you'd kind of be like, oh, hasn't got a boyfriend yet? That's so sad. For real.
This is hilarious, though, but it's so true. Yeah. But
The
Yeah.
thank
things you
God
say when you're
times have
20.
changed.
Yes.
Wow.
Times have changed, and I'm thrilled. So, you know, now we have so many different categories. And there was just the West Hollywood look or go home, you know? And now we
Right.
have daddies and bears and otters and cubs, and you know, the spectrum is so broad, and furries, and you know, whatever you got. But specifically to the daddy thing, I love the fact that, you know, the elders before me, my generation, and then the ones who love daddies now have helped create this community where older men are loved and appreciated and have a space to have a voice and presence and sexuality and attraction. So it is very exciting, and it is something that I have clients that come to me who want to learn more, to adopt more of that daddy essence in their life, and even boys who want to learn how to be more of a boy and more in service, and more in this submissive essence.
And you can even reverse those roles too. Like a daddy can sometimes be a submissive to a younger one, which I've explored many times. And then we flipped it. And it just, the menu of options now that you can explore with even one person is that much more an exciting time. And I feel like the younger lot these days are a lot more open to experimentation. Do you agree with that statement?
Totally. Daddies can be submissive. Daddies can be bottoms. I'm a versatile daddy, so when I'm bottoming, I'm a bottom daddy. Also, daddies can be cis women. They can be trans men. They can be younger than me. They could be older than me. You know, it is a mindset. It's an attitude. It is what you believe in yourself and how you express your daddiness. And it's different for everybody. And it can be in the way you dress, the manner you speak, the way you hold yourself, the way you have sex, There's a lot of different ways to be daddy, and it doesn't have to be, the Marlboro man, topping some twink every time.
Yeah.
And you were telling us before we started the show offline that you're actually starting a whole movement to even daddy. We always thought, okay, well, maybe up to a certain age in their late 50s, maybe 60, but you're actually wanting to explore and do some work with men over 60 into their 70s that are still going to be sexually active. Talk a little bit about the work that you want to put forth from now on.
Yeah, definitely. So, as I was saying, you can be a daddy at any age, and there's guys in their 20s calling themselves daddies and presenting themselves that way, and that's fantastic. I think it's important as a daddy that you do have some experience, and it's not just a character.
Mhm.
And I
I
think
feel like they can be baby daddies. I don't think they're all the way daddies. I think they should be called baby daddies.
yeah,
I
maybe
like
daddy,
that.
yeah,
I
baby
like
daddy.
that differentiation. Yeah, baby daddy.
Yeah, for a while there was zaddy, and that seemed to have fallen
Yeah,
away. I like that because that was
I
like
like
kind of
that too. Yeah.
young hip daddy was
A little
zaddy.
swag to it there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't hear that as much.
No.
But when you think of a daddy, stereotypically, it's somebody in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, sometimes 60s. But then what? Then it's just old, right?
Right. Yeah.
Just old man, which is fine. And I get called that quite a bit, and I'm totally down with it. Mature, senior, old man, whatever. But I do want to create a space for granddaddies. Daddies who
Ooh.
are mentors, have had life experience, or want to share and teach, and also experience gay life and queer life in their own way, because the population is getting older.
We're living
Mhm.
longer.
We're living longer. So,
We're healthier.
you at 53, me at 57, it's like 10 years from now, I'm going to be doing a lot of the same shit,
Me
Yeah.
too. We'll be back. You'll be back on this show. And yeah.
Or how I would love it. So I want to sort of bring old man, senior, mature, granddaddy,
I
grandpa.
love
That's another
granddaddy.
thing. Yeah.
Granddaddy, I love.
The 3 iterations.
Grandom, Cody,
Baby
grandom,
daddy.
Mhm.
First you're a baby daddy, then you're a daddy daddy, and then you're a granddaddy. I love
Then
it.
you're
The 3.
granddaddy. Yeah, or even grandpa. Grandpa sounds a little older, but I'm kind of okay with that, because I think
It's so.
owning these words that are tried to be used against people. It's like,
Yeah.
we're all gonna get there, so let's make it a soft landing for when we do, by adopting these names and playing with them, and giving them a little more of a sexual and attraction feeling, more than like
Yeah.
too old.
Because people over a certain age, they still have sex. We still are sexual beings well into our 70s, 80s. God willing, I'm going to be there as well. So, and having sex.
Absolutely, I'll see you there.
Yes.
I'll be the great granddaddy by then.
Oh, there you go. Well, one of the things I also wanted to tap into really quickly, because you had a quote: servicing cock and earning loads is the most important thing in the world to me, which I thought was such a sexy quote. And, if you're a side as well, but I think a lot of people don't spend enough time on oral as we could, and the possibilities. There's a couple of sites out there like Bateworld that I was found out through you looking at your Twitter, and The Blowers. Can you talk a little bit about those and how they're just what they do?
Yes. So Blowers is a hookup app, just like Scruff or Grinder or Field. And it's exclusively for oral sex. So you go on there either as a blower or a blowee or both.
Love it.
Okay.
Hey, I like that.
And that's
Doesn't
what
get-
yeah.
And you can put your picture of yourself up there, and I'm all right. I'm doing it right after we get off the show for sure.
And
Okay.
explicit pictures too. You
I was
can
gonna
put boner
say,
shots.
can I just put my dick up there?
Well, hello.
Yep.
I like
Yeah.
to advertise.
Yeah. So I love it because you know exactly what you're getting into. It's like there's no top bottom side. It's just like, hey, are you a cocksucker today, or you like want to get your cock sucked, or do you want a 69? Whatever. So yeah, so that's the blowers. And then Bateworld, not for oral sex, but that one's exclusively for masturbation. Bateworld.com is an amazing site for self-pleasure. It is social media in a way. You have a profile on there. You can have as many pictures as you want, even videos, so you can connect with like-minded masturbators in your area or around the world. It's also a video chat platform. I go on there all the time and masturbate with other guys. I just go in the you're there now. I just go in the general chat room and just leave the camera open. There's anywhere from 50 to 150 guys in there any time of the day. And you can masturbate either privately or with other people, or you don't even have to have your camera on. A lot of times I won't even have my camera on, and I'll just open up like 6 windows of guys jacking off, and
Oh
I'll
my
just
God, I love this.
feel like I'm in the
Yes,
same room
please.
with them. And the site also has lots of education around masturbation and pleasure, and different groups that get together for, exclusively for masturbation. It's really fantastic.
Speaking of props and education, you have, I think, a prop on hand right now. And can you give us a tip or two
What?
on?
Enter stage left. Yes.
Enter stage left. Who are we looking at, and what can we do with it?
Oh yeah,
Give us a tip.
That looks yummy,
Give us
by
a
the
tip or
way.
two.
Yeah, I love this dildo. Okay, how about I'll show you guys a couple of cock strokes. Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Listening audience, you can watch us on our
cannot wait.
YouTube channel, and yes, because this turns into an audio podcast. Yeah, but yeah.
Listening audience, yeah. So, okay. So the juicer, I'm going to take the tips of my finger and place them on the tip of the cock and slide them all the way down until it touches the palm and back up again. So doesn't it look like I'm kind of juicing a lime or a lemon?
Yeah. Oh, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
We should
I
have
had
our
a lot of
dildo
margaritas,
Steve.
so I know
Yeah.
we should have gotten that. I didn't know it was,
We could have all been doing this.
The
This
juicer. I love
one.
the juicer.
You see this hand over hand?
Oh,
With a lot of
Yeah.
lube, right?
Lots of lube. Yeah.
Yes.
Always a lot of lube when you masturbate. Hand over hand. This is called the stripper pole. This doesn't look like I'm climbing a pole.
Yeah, exactly.
And you are.
I am climbing. Yeah. It's super cool. Okay, I'll show you one more because I know this.
Okay.
is not
Real
a
quick
loose-
before you show us, are you
Yeah.
water-based or silicone, Fave? What's your...
When I masturbate, I use oil. And
Oh.
lately I've been using this Bader balm.
Ooh.
Yeah, specifically for the penis, made by penis
Okay.
lovers. Yeah, I like oil because it doesn't dry up.
Yeah.
Water-based, forget it. Dries up within a minute. Silicone,
It's a
works
mess,
okay,
kind of,
but
but
I like to go for a long time. So
Right.
I like to use oil.
Interesting.
I do recommend that men or penis owners use lubrication when they masturbate, because you want the sensation to be as close to feeling like a mouth or a hole or a pussy as possible.
Got it.
Sometimes people have a hard time ejaculating inside a mouth or hole or pussy because their masturbation feels so much different than a mouth or hole or pussy.
Hello, me.
Oh,
It's either
that would be
too
me
tight.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe too tight or too fast or too dry.
Oh,
Maybe
too
a little bit
dry,
of all
yeah.
3 of those. So you want to stimulate the environment you're wanting to ejaculate into while you masturbate as part of training for your cock.
I am repeating this part of the episode for sure because this is really good tips and
Wow.
really good. Kodi, did you have a question? Because if not, we wanted to get
Mm,
that Reddit
Yes, we want to get that
question.
Reddit in for sure.
Okay. So we figured we always give advice on the show, but this time it comes from a Redditor, and they wanted advice or encouragement for coming out as kinky to my boyfriend. So the person writes, I'm 31, male, haven't had many relationships in my life, and I do love my partner. We've been together for about a year now, and it's getting to the point I just need to tell him that I'm not that vanilla, but I've never done this before. I'm on the sub side and I just don't know how to bring this up to and be honest because our sex is great, but I feel like I'm missing a piece for me. Any advice or encouragement is appreciated. And we couldn't think of a better person to ask than Will Tantra.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I love this question. So I'll bet you anything that this guy's partner also
He's
has some
kinky too.
kinks.
Yes.
He's wanting to share too. And this is such an easy one. All they got to do is just sit down and say, honey, I love the sex we're having. And there's other types of sex that I love to have too. How about you? Let's talk about other things we like to do. You just open up the conversation. Now, if his kinks are what are considered, really extreme, like, maybe he's into
Fisting.
wearing diapers or balloon popping or something that could blow somebody's mind. Baby steps with that. Just lead into like, hey, I'm a little kinky. Feel your partner out. Don't just lay it all on him all at once. Because you've kind of been hiding this part of yourself from him. So
Mhm.
there's
And
going to
what a
be a
great
little bit of a
conversation to have next Wednesday on Valentine's Day. If you, I'm just
Aw.
saying.
We're gonna have that on.
Yes.
We're gonna have the
Kodi goes,
diaper conversation on Valentine's
hey,
Day.
listen, they said
The
this is
diapers.
great. This would be, I would have this conversation with my partner if I was celebrating Valentine's Day. But Kodi,
Yes,
what do you
yes.
say?
I want to ask Will, Daddy Tantra. Sorry, I'm so sorry, Daddy Will.
You call me whatever you want, handsome.
Thank you so much, sir. So what do you think about? You said ease into it. What do you think about just showing your kink as a porn to the person that you were interested in?
Showing the kink as a porn.
Mhm.
Well, yes, if it's other people in the kink, I think it might, well, depending on the relationship with your partner, if it was a video of yourself
No,
doing
not
the kink.
yourself. It's
Oh,
like
okay.
maybe, yeah, no.
Happy
No,
Valentine's. Here's
yeah.
me getting fucking fucked by somebody else.
I hope you enjoy it, and this is what I would like to do as the person's like turning green. Like,
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be a great idea. Of course, only we know how things are going to land with our partners. So
Yes.
if you find something that's appropriately visual, great. Also, we kind of know how our partners like to be communicated with and learn. So you might be like, hey, let's experiment a little bit. There's such easy ways to just tiptoe into kink, like a blindfold.
ooh,
One of the
that would
easiest
be
things
great.
you can do.
Okay.
Just a blindfold.
That's a great Valentine's one, I think.
A little spanking, a little bit of control. There's easy, getting a tie and just binding the wrist to the bed. There's super easy ways to lead into it that aren't affronting.
Wow, I love it. And I think we are up on our time, but we should mention that you can follow Will Tantra pretty much everywhere. It's at
Tantric Fitness.
Tantric Fitness on
Mhm.
Twitter, Instagram, tantricfitness.com, where you can get all of your links. You have a Just for Fans and OnlyFans. I have my OnlyFans. I'm going to be in LA, so maybe we could collab, which is the words the kids
Ooh.
use.
Well, I liked your idea of the younger guy fucking the older daddy.
Oh, yeah. Who would be the? I mean, yeah, I
You're
like
the
that. I
well,
like
you're the younger guy, and
I'm
I'm
the
the
younger
older
guy,
guy, so
yeah.
you'd be
But
fucking me.
just by a couple years. I just made it.
Y'all
So
are
yeah, we can
hilarious.
definitely do that. Absolutely. Stay tuned for that, listening audience. But yeah, definitely. We want to thank you so much because you really
Thank you,
are
Daddy.
pushing the boundaries and making us think definitely outside of the box in so many ways. And it's so refreshing to hear from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you too. I really appreciate you guys having me back. It's great to talk again.
Our
And we'll list
absolute pleasure.
everything on tagspodcast.com, reference episode 539. Will Tantra, thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon. I'll talk to you soon for sure.
Yes, and I'll see you soon.
Okay. Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Amazing, Kodi.
So much fun.
So much fun.
Thanks,
Felt
you
like
guys.
Yes,
Thank you.
Absolutely.
That was a blast.
Absolutely. And in the meantime, Kodi, what are we doing? I was going to say
Continuing having
hot, gay,
gay
sad.
sad.